We were over there, and it was great. They had Muppet shows, and the transportation system was beautiful, and they had Muppets. Here's Bernie last night, Fox News town hall, lying again about his plans and lying again about Denmark being a socialist country. This is just disgraceful. Check this out.
That democratic socialism will not have the same results.
Good. Thank you for the question, Martha. Martha? Margaret. Okay. What happened and existed in the Soviet Union was not socialism. It was authoritarian communism. And communism, whether in Cuba, whether in the Soviet Union, whether in other countries, was marked by totalitarianism, was marked by throwing millions of people into the gulag. Stalinism was about as bad as it got. But right near, you're from Russia. I don't know if you've ever visited Finland. Finland is a neighbor to Russia. They have a very democratic society with strong democratic socialist principles. Everybody in Finland has health care as a right. Their educational system is perhaps the best in the world, and college there is free. They take environmental responsibility very, very seriously. They have one of the lowest rates of childhood poverty in the industrialized world. And you know what? Their voting rate, people who participate in their elections, is a lot higher than it is in the United States. So when we talk about democratic socialism, Margaret, I'm talking about Finland, I'm talking about Denmark, I'm talking about Sweden, I'm talking about countries all over the world who have used their government to try to improve life for working families, not just the people on top.
I have to tell you, believe me, it hurts me and wounds me to have to tell you this, but I have to give Bernie credit for his BSing ability. Convenient that his initials are BS too, because they've never been more appropriate initials for a human being. This guy massages tyranny like no human being I've ever met. The Soviet Union wasn't socialist? Does he know what the USSR stands for? I'm just asking. Yes. Has he checked it? Has the Soviet? It's the. Right, Joe? I mean, Joe lived through it more than I. He's a little older than me. Paul is younger than me, but I'm just checking. Does he understand what that means? The Soviet Union was the very definition of socialism. Ladies and gentlemen, dictionaries matter. You can even go online now. Try dictionary.com. Socialism is the government control of the means of production. For liberals who don't understand basic English, the means of production refers to the means by which we produce things: food, medicine, clean water, iPhones, gavels, sound machines, watches, shirts, clothing, textiles. The means. When the government controls the means of production, that is the textbook dictionary.com definition of what socialism is. That is exactly what the Soviet Union was. Folks, I don't have any other, there's no need to dive in on this any further because I'm dumbing you down by having to correct this colossal BS artist who has defended the Soviet Union. I've played the clips on this show multiple times. We were over there, and it was great. They had Muppet shows, and the transportation system was beautiful, and they had Muppets. We went to see this show, and they had the Muppets there. It was terrific. It was the little puppet shows, and the arts were great. We loved the arts. They were fantastic. You heard the clip on the show. He celebrated. I'm not even making it up about the puppets. I said the Muppets, but the puppets.
Yeah.
Remember that show? And they had puppet shows. And it was great. He doesn't mention that Stalin starved hundreds of millions of people, and communism around the world did, socialism. He doesn't mention any of it, the gulags, the torture. I mean, in that thing, he's like, well, we're not into totalitarianism. That's what the Soviet Union was. And yes, it was socialism. Bernie frequently wants you to believe that if he controls the economy through heavy taxation and heavy regulation, that you're still politically free. You are not. It doesn't matter if you vote for Bernie or AOC or one of his other socialist allies. If they control what you do, your money, your kids' education, your healthcare decisions, you are not free, period. So talking point number one, that the Soviet Union wasn't socialist, is moronic on its face. But talking point number two, we want to be more like Denmark. They're socialist. Again, for the, Paula, 20th time maybe this year? Maybe more, maybe a little less, plus or minus 5. Here is Denmark themselves telling Bernie Sanders in the last election, we've had enough of your socialist slurs, Investors Business Daily. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Rasmussen, has stated frequently, stop slurring us with your socialist label. Denmark, Finland, and Sweden are not socialist. Ironically, on economic freedom indexes around the world, Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, in some cases, rank higher than the United States. They have a better business environment. Some of those countries have no minimum wage. And those countries got wealthy as free markets, made a turn towards big government nanny states and heavy taxation, and are now going in the reverse direction back to free markets again. Bernie is just lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. And the problem I have is his wordsmithing. Just stop using the word socialist. It's not hard. Just say, the reason he says that term is because he wants you to believe it's some pie-in-the-sky panacea system. And it confuses a lot of people. That's the reason he does that. Because what he doesn't want to say is, what I want to institute are massive taxes and a big government nanny state. Because that doesn't sound good. It sounds awful. So he says, democratic socialism. Democratic meaning you can vote, but socialism meaning we control the economy. I just told you that's not possible. When they control the economy, it's not democratic. It doesn't matter who you vote for. That's what he keeps doing, and that's the reason he keeps using that label. Anytime he brings up socialism, I don't care what modifier he puts in front of it. Democratic, Superman socialism, I don't candy cane socialism, I don't care what he calls it. Anytime he says that and compares it to Denmark, nope, that's not true, sir. That is not true. Denmark is insisting you stop slurring them with this false label. There's the article. You can read it yourself.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.